red tide, everyone. Oh, when will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn?
Siesta Key's Grand Canal was built in 1925 and needs some help to survive. Here is the 7-point proposal to start now and finish for the big 100-year birthday festival. Let's jumpstart the process.
In order to proceed to stimulate the 9 miles of fishery potential of the Grand Canal to life, we will follow the recommendations of 2 reports from 1974 by New College and 1983 by Mote Marine. Both claim the original design of a dead-end canal system does not have enough flow to be healthy, since there is only one outlet at Roberts Bay, which now has a shoal that blocks 50% of that flow. Extremely low dissolved oxygen on the bottom is a dead zone and needs aeration for the growth of the fishery. Since digging started in 1925, it was for developers to sell waterfront properties and not to create fishery habitats. The continued degradation of the water quality has been increasing every year, and at some point in the near future, it will become a greater health hazard. Here are some thoughts for discussion.
Let's jumpstart the process by giving away mini reefs to every dock owner and be installed as soon as possible.
Tell us what kind of fish and critters you found in these underdock mini reefs so far.
We get blue crab, stone crab, some of their lesser known relatives like mangrove crabs, and there's mud crabs and those. Fish, we've had over 60 species we found on them. So you have things like porkfish, mangrove snapper, some people would call gray snapper. We've had like juvenile, like very small, we're talking like this, but redfish, snook, red and black drum, a lot of bait fish, mahoras, and we've had like permits and a lot of those kind of fish using it. And then there's also there's what grows up inside of it, but then you get like a food chain that grows up around the dock. Because of, obviously if on average 300 young fish kind of get to decent fingerling size or larger and leave, you don't start off with 300, you have more than that. Mm-hmm. That's how Mother Nature works.
Of course, exactly.
So you usually get like mangrove snapper, like to school underneath the unit, and they're looking up for whoever's not paying attention.
We need to be filtering this water and cleaning it up so we don't have more red tide and nutrients. How long does it take to get oysters to grow here?
So it takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months for filter feeders to be born, find it, land on it, and grow up on it.
We will experiment with creating living seawall floating corridors, with plants on top for birds, shelter below for fish, while providing food for all.
Floating habitats can be legally attached to seawalls to create living seawalls and create corridors. The roots of the plants take up the nitrogen, and they become floating islands to attract songbirds.
Seawalls need fishery corridors to function, and floating habitats could be an inexpensive way to increase the juvenile fish population.
In Baltimore Harbor, they realized with all their shoreline hardened, there were no more marshes or oyster beds to filter the water, so the National Aquarium is building a floating marsh habitat.
Flushing the water is very bad in the canal. We will install an industrial-strength water filtration system, just like our swimming pools, to remove up to 70% of the suspended sediments.
One experiment we could do would be to get an Olympic-size filter and put it at the old water treatment plant to pump out the water from the canal into the filter and then back to the canal, adding oxygen to it. So now you get cleaner water and the sediment just gets backflushed into a holding area.
The dissolved oxygen is very low in the canal, so we will provide solar-powered aerators in areas that need it most.
Another recommendation is to aerate the canal. This could be a permitting nightmare and expensive, so I propose a solar-powered boat towing aeration hoses like a street sweeper truck operated by volunteers who would love to be on the water. What might be even cheaper would be to gather up anybody with a pool and a pool filter to spend a couple hours a day to pump water out of the Grand Canal, take the sediment out with the filter, and pump it back in as fresh dissolved oxygen, a lot clearer, and just pump away the backwash.
The small shoal at the mouth of the canal causes over a 50% blockage that keeps the canal unhealthy. It must be removed.
Remove the shoal at the mouth of the Grand Canal. It is not very large, but it rises up and stops the lower water column where the low oxygen levels can't be flushed. It has been there as long as anyone can remember, and no one seems to know how it was formed. I believe it may have been created by boaters revving their engines from the no-wake zone as they leave the canal and enter Roberts Bay. Another artery blocking shoal is near the bridge at Midnight Pass Road.
This project will be watched by the world. Everywhere is the need to bring our aquatic habitats back to health. The Grand Canal will be the first to use massive, underdock, mini reefs, and will become the focal point for ecotourism for Sarasota in 2025.
No one has done this anywhere else in the world, and this will be the first time that people can watch the progress of the experiment with Wi-Fi underwater cameras and then invited to a symposium.
Finally, in 2025, we will have a 100-year birthday festival, celebrating new habitats, cleaner water, more fish and crabs, clearer water, new corridors for birds and fish, and a new science for restoring the aquatic life on the planet.